What's going on, y'all? Welcome back. It's Ars. Let's get productive. So, the plugin I want to talk about today is slated to be a game changer in the drum processing plugin department. Now, there's all kind of cool techniques you can use to make your drums really cut through in your mix and slap as hard as they possibly can. But I love when you can pick up a tool that puts a lot of those approaches into one easy to use space. Today, we're going to be talking about Slap by Mr. Bill and Yum Audio. Now, this thing is a beast when it comes to making drums hit as hard as they can. And the really cool thing about it is what it can do to the transients of your sound that aren't necessarily available in a lot of other plugins in this department. So without wasting any more time, let's get right into it. Mr. Bill, Yum Audio, Slap. Let's see what this thing is all about. So, as always, I have Logic queued up, and this is Slap. Now, I can't say enough great things about the UI design. Yum Audio really usually has some really cool UI designs, but in my opinion, this might be one of my favorite UI designs from Yum Audio. Now, Slap is a very cool, futuristic looking plugin. It's super user-friendly and is very unique with its combination of multi-effects, as well as its one-of-a-kind click replacement tool. So you're really getting a true signature sound as well as presets handcrafted by Mr. Bill. Each of the effects in this thing are designed to really add punch to your drums and help them cut through any mix you put it on. So I'm really enjoying how creative they got. Like I said, especially with that new transient shaper, that click replacement tool, where you can take the transients in any one of the samples that you drag and drop into this thing and replace them with different kinds of click sounds to shape the transient of that kick or that snare into something completely different. So let's check this thing out. Getting back into the UI itself, the interface itself, like I said, I love the UI design. It's really creative, and there's a lot of really cool things going on in the design department. I love that dark midnight blue kind of look, but with the orange accents and neon glows of the different knobs. I love the resolution and how clear and crispy everything is. As much as there is going on inside the screen, inside the interface, I'm not lost at all. Everything that needs to be highlighted for you to understand what it does and understand its purpose within the plugin itself is placed in the right areas of the plugin, and it's lit up in a way that it stands out but it doesn't distract. Just diving in a little bit deeper into what we're seeing on the screen here. Down here you have 6 different effects. You have shape, fat, clap, sub, spray, and clip. Shape is going to add more knock to whatever sound is coming through the plugin. Just to put it simply, any audio you introduce into this thing, once you start playing with the shape effect, is going to really focus it and hone in on the knock of it and just really make it punch a lot harder. And you can adjust the shape with these knobs down here that says snap and tightness. Say you have a kick drum that's really wide sounding, it has a lot of sub, and it's just the swell and the stereo of the kick is just really round. You can tighten that kick drum with the tight knob down here, and you can make that kick drum pop a lot harder with the snap knob right here. Now, this fat knob right here is going to pretty much do what it says. It's going to add more fatness and just more roundness to whatever audio is coming through here. So it'll add more fatness to your kick. The clap effect is going to add like a digital processed clap sound on top of whatever audio is introduced into the plugin. So you can go right here and it's going to add some clap modulated noise to the sound. So for example, let's take the kick drum right here. You'll notice as I turn up the clap, there's like a processed, airy clap sound that gets added. And you can change the length of the sound with this mix section down here. So you can really shape the sound the way you want. Now over here you have the sub effect, and it's going to do what it said. It's going to add more sub, so there's going to be more fullness and add more bounce to those sub frequencies of whatever sound you're introducing. Obviously it'll work best on a kick drum, but that's what it's going to do. It's going to beef up your audio. It's going to add more sub frequencies to that sound. Spray is going to allow you to add some bright reverb effects to your sound. So it's set up with the algorithm or whatever's going on behind the plugin. It's set up in a way to make it sound a bit airy and make it almost sound like a spray can, like you're spraying something, but it's a reverb effect. And I'll let you hear what that sounds like a little bit. And you can adjust the size of it and the width of it. You can adjust the shimmer. So just pretty much about how much sparkle you want to be in that reverb effect, and you can turn that back down if you like. So between clap and spray, you can really adjust those higher frequencies of your sound. And you have clip right here, which kind of acts like a limiter in a lot of ways. It just allows you to add a bit of a ceiling to those higher dynamic peaks of your frequency and just kind of crunch things a little bit, so that way it punches through extremely aggressively, but it's able to be tamed and not go past a certain level. So you can add a clipper on there, and you have, with clip, you have this punish section right here, so you can hear what that sounds like. I'm gonna mess around with the clip a little bit. As you can see, as I turn up the clipper, it punches a bit harder, but it tames the sound so that it doesn't peak past a certain level. And you can play with punish. And that's just going to add aggression to your sound and distortion to your sound. So if you look down here, you see it says squash, low cut, and tame. Now squash is going to add a little bit of compression, just in case you need a little more compression to your sound. That's what squash does. Low cut speaks for itself. It's going to help you cut out some of the sub frequencies out of whatever sound is being introduced into this thing. And tame is going to help you tame those higher frequencies and smoothen it out so that the sound itself isn't too harsh. Over here on the right, you have your effects amount. So this is kind of like your mix knob right here. You have your tuning knob right here, so you can change the pitch of the sound that's coming through this thing, and you have your bypass button. And right over here in the center, you have your output knob. Now, up top here, where you see these waves, is where things get really interesting. It's one of my favorite things about this plugin, and it's the thing that, in my opinion, makes this plugin stand out a lot over other drum processing plugins. And this section up here is called your click section. Now, what this thing does is it analyzes the audio that's coming into the plugin in real time, and it looks out for the most aggressive parts of your transient, and it allows you to select those sections that are hitting the hardest and swap out that section or that portion that you select with different click sounds that comes loaded up inside of this thing. And you can also drag and drop your own samples. So you can drag and drop your own click sounds or your own hit sounds or slap sounds, and you can swap out different portions of the transient with that click sound. So it'll actually take a kick drum that has one sound and completely change the tone and the shape of that kick drum by layering up a different clip sound into it. So I'll show you what that sounds like in a little bit. But over here to the right of the click section, you have your visualizer section, and you can toggle between one shot, free, and static, just pretty much seeing how you want to visualize the sound that's coming through. Right now it's on static, and you can adjust the notes so you can see exactly what you want to see on the screen. So you have 116 notes static, or 116 note one shot, or 116 note free. And you can just pretty much adjust how you want to view the transients that are coming through the plugin. So that's really cool. Up top here is where you have your presets. And as you can see, you have a hell of a lot of presets. There's a whole bunch of presets inside of this thing. And as always, you can save your own presets, and you can click the forward and backward arrow inside of this thing to move forward and backwards through the presets. Now we're going to go back to the click section, because this is where this thing really shines. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what's happening here in the click section. So right here is the click section. Now, if you see these two green arrows, this is going to allow you to select the portion of your transient that you want to add the new click sound to. So you can just scroll between the transient sound and find where you want to swap out that portion of the transient with a new click sound. And this part of the green line right over here on the left side is where that click sound is going to start, and this is where that click sound is going to end. So you can start that new click sound at any point of the transient, and you can end it at any point of the transient. Now up here, you'll see it says click. You'll see these arrows right here. These 3 stacked squares represents layer, and this means that you're no longer replacing a portion of the transient. You're layering a new click sound on top of that portion of the transient. And if you click these 3 boxes again, you'll see these arrows here, it switches up. This means you're swapping out that portion of the transient. So the portion of the transient that you have selected within these green guidelines right here, that portion of the transient is now being swapped out with a new click sound. So you can either swap out the portion of the transient, or you can layer a new click sound on top of the portion of the transient via these arrows right here and where you have things selected. Right here where it says ticks and tocks, these are your different types of click sounds, and these are your different click sounds in themselves. And you can just use these arrows right here to scroll back and forth between them. And right over here, you'll notice it says pitch. Right down here, you'll notice tone. And right over here, you'll notice it says gain. So the pitch is going to allow you to change the pitch of your click sound. Wherever you have it selected, the tone is going to allow you to change the tone of that click sound. And the gain is going to allow you to change the volume of that click sound. So between picking the portion of the transient that you want to swap out for a new click sound and toggling between the pitch, the tone, and the gain of that new click sound you added on top of the transient, you can completely change the kick that you have in your session and your track just with this section alone. And that's pretty much it. That's the plugin. That's what's going to help you get your knock. Now, what I wanted to do is go through some of the presets inside of this thing, but there's so much going on inside of this plugin that I think it'll be most effective for me to just use the plugin on a set of drums and let you hear what you can do by using the plugin on a set of drums. So you can go through the presets yourself when you get the plugin. There's a bunch of different presets, but I think it's gonna be cooler to just actually start using this thing and see what it sounds like. So I have some drums loaded up in a very simple beat, and I have all of the drums sent to 3 different bus tracks. So we have a kick track, a snare track, a clap track, and a percussion track. And each one of those tracks, I have a instance of slap on the bus track. So right now we're gonna start with the kick track, and I'm gonna mess around with the kick to get it to sound the way I want it to sound. Then we'll go to the snare track, then we'll go to the clap track, and we'll hear how everything sounds at the end and how it all comes together. We'll listen to the before, and then we'll listen to the after. So right now I'm gonna play the kick drum before, so you can hear what the kick drum sounds like before. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn slap on the kick drum, and I'm going to see if I can tweak things a little bit to just get it to sound a little bit more, get it to hit a little bit harder and shape it to sound the way I want it to sound. Let's try to go through a different portion of the kick. So we're going to go through different click sounds. I don't really want to add fatness to this kick, so I'm gonna turn fat off. Let's hear clap. Turn the effect down just slightly. Okay, let me bypass it. There we go. So that's the kick. This is the kick before. And this is the kick after. Just makes the kick slap a little bit more so it can pierce through. And the way it's hitting now, it'll probably show up if you play it on a cell phone or something like that. So this is the snare before. Let's hear the snare before. And I already did some settings for the snare so we can hear what the snare sounds like now. So as you can hear, I added a click track to the snare, and where I had the click track start to take place in the transient, it added a bit of crunch to that snare, which is like a side stick. So it made the side stick kind of sound like a hand clap. So this is it without slap, and this is it with slap. These are the drums with slap on. And these are the drums without slap on. And so that was just an example of some of the things you can do with slap. You know, obviously it's going to add more aggression to your sound, more crunch to your sound, but it's up to you to mix your sound to make it sit inside of your beat the way you want it to sound. So now what I want to do without wasting any more time is I want to get right into the pickup, and I want to let you hear what this very simple beat sounds like with slap on the drums. So the first thing I'm going to do is play the beat without slap on so you can hear how the beat sounds without slap on the drums. So this is the beat without slap on the drums. And this is the beat with slap on the drums. And that's basically it. Essentially what I did here is just pretty much give the simple dry sounding drums a little more life, a bit more compression, added some airiness to the higher frequencies of the drums, and added that click track in there to the snare to make it sound a bit more crunchy, make it sound a bit more like a hand clap. And I really got my drums to really sit in the mix the way I wanted it to, just by using one plugin, slap, as opposed to a bunch of different plugins to carve out the sound. So that's really what this thing is all about. That's really what this thing is for. It's to help you get the sound you're trying to get, processing your drums without having a whole bunch of different effects in the mix. You can just do it with one plugin. So that's basically it. I'm really liking this thing, but let me know if this is something that you could use in your arsenal. As always, if there's any new plugins or VSTs that you'd like to see me review on this channel, leave it down in the comment section below and I'll check them out as soon as possible. If you're new to this channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on your notifications so you can stay notified anytime I drop a new video, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.